Good morning. I'm here to go over my report for October 9th, 2023 for the GRCC monthly board meeting. I'm so sorry and sad I cannot be with you this evening. And of course, I'd be there if I could. And I'm working hard on ensuring that our equity work goes forward by being an Indian with equity too. So let's go ahead and take a look at my board report.
I have a white. Anyone here have a white arcade?
Okay, so here we go. So the first thing to note is any immediate or current actions and updates. There are only a few. One, I shared with you last week or last month that the diagnostic data for the fall will be presented in November just due to the fact that I am not present at this meeting. However, we had our data day on September 29th, and after parent teacher conferences this week, so beginning on Wednesday, tier 2 and tier 3 supports for both academics, reading and math, and social emotional learning will begin. Don and Libby were here last week, so that was very exciting. The next steps for them will be they're planning a family survey, meeting with the strategic planning committee, and also some focused learning groups, and including some affinity groups based in race for families. The family teacher conferences are happening today and tomorrow. So give your child's teacher a little extra boost if you see them. Our teachers work so hard. Not only in the energy they put into the conferences during the conferences, but in preparing the conferences to make sure that they are going to be fruitful and useful for families and very supportive for your child. For our continuous improvement plan this month, the Travel Team for Equity, which is where I am right now, will be in Indianapolis for the second part of our learning. And to prepare for this meeting, so last time we went in August, we were charged with some deep data analysis, some context development, and with drafting inequity statements that were related to our data, and then agreeing upon 3 of those statements. We wanted to focus on 3 goals around those statements. So we met and we explored both facilitators and barriers towards meeting those goals. That work was not done just by the travel team. That was done with the full A team and Sarah, facilitated by Dr. Swinford, who's our coach from the Equity Center. So who's on the A team? Myself, Mr. Trevor, Miss Ellie, Miss Swartz, Miss Harmony, Miss Miranda, and Miss Bowman. So the purpose of that is to make sure that we have staff from all aspects of work in our school and that team, since the A team is meant to push forward work on school-wide systems and school-wide processes and school-wide change. So we make sure that we have the representation on that full team for that. So I do want to give you a quick look at the inequity statements and the goals that we'll be exploring. Just share that tab. Okay, here we go. So the blacked out rows just represent statements and goals that we were considering that we didn't choose to focus on at this time. So this is a working draft at this time. It's not a final presentation of anything to the community. It's just to let the board know what we're thinking about focusing on. So for the first goal, the inequity statement says 28% of students identified as economically disadvantaged scored at mid or above grade level at the iWriting Math Diagnostic in March 2023, compared to 49% of all students, indicating that economically disadvantaged students are not benefiting from current instruction at the same rate as other students. So the related goal to that is by March 2026, students who are from disinvested communities will score at mid or above grade level on the iReady Math Diagnostic at the same rate as all other students through differentiated high quality tiered instruction. And that kind of embedded in there is the math pilot and our intention to continue to strengthen that pilot so that we take that to scale throughout the school. This next inequity statement that we worked with was 61% of students qualifying for Tier 3 SEL supports are from under-resourced communities, compared to students from under-resourced communities representing only 38% of the school's total population, indicating that students from under-resourced communities are not benefiting from the district's Tier 1 and Tier 2 practices at the same rate as their peers. So the related goal to that is by March 2026 school year, the percentage of children from under-resourced communities qualifying for Tier 3 SEL will be equal or less than the percentage of children from under-resourced communities in the school population through consistent school-wide Tier 1 classroom practices and responsive classroom conscious discipline empowering education. I want to note that in these two goals, you can see a little bit of us playing around with language from economically disadvantaged. That's the phrase that's used by the state, or often shorthand free and reduced lunch, or children who receive free and reduced lunch. You can see here under resource, disinvested. This is a current conversation we are in. With the Map Center around what language we want to use to identify the children in the group that we are talking about. And you'll see that this is not a pure race-based goal, and that's because we have a much larger population of students who qualify for free and reduced lunch than we do students of any one particular racial category. If we said kids of color overall, it would still be a larger group. The economically disadvantaged would still be a larger group, but closer. So we thought identifying the disproportionality among the largest group will help us make the greatest change faster. This goal is this next inequity statement has to do with looking at our teacher attendance last year and what classes were most represented as having students with reduced lunch, and did teacher attendance impact those classes in a disproportionately large way. So the inequity statement says grade levels who have 0 to 25% of students in disinvested communities have teachers with 86.5% average daily attendance, whereas grade levels who had 26 to 50% of students identified as from disinvested in communities have teachers with 79.5 average daily attendance, with teacher absences also causing a cascading impact of moving other staff around for coverage. Students from disinvested communities have less access to stable teacher and staff workforce than other students. So the goal says by the March 2026 school year, 91% of staff or teacher absences will be covered by qualified teacher or parasub across all classrooms, including specials and interventions. They're building a bench of high quality subs and paras who are trained and committed to the school. So we spent a long time discussing this because at first this had a teacher attendance rate goal, teacher and staff attendance rate goal, along with the coverage goal. And we decided that really didn't align with who we want to be as a workplace, what our core values are, what we believe about our teachers, by their contracts, have a certain number of PTO days, they have a certain number of allowable sick days. And having a teacher attendance goal in there felt like perhaps we were saying like teachers are not coming to school for some reason other than a really good reason. And we don't believe that. We don't see that. We think teachers should take their days. We think mental health days are valid. We don't want to encourage a toxic workplace environment. But what has been happening in our school since COVID is we've only been using pairs as subs. And when that happens, the pairs are excellent subs, but then those classrooms where they were supposed to be working in then do not have para support for that time. So we decided what we really need to do to address this is to make sure that we have a well-trained and high quality group of most likely para subs, but maybe a couple of teacher subs as well, and really focus on the coverage rather than encouraging staff or teachers to come to work on days that they shouldn't necessarily be at work. So that's how that played out. So we listed for each of the goals what we felt the barriers were to meeting those goals, or why those inequities are taking place, and what we think can help us address these goals. So this will be the work that we will begin tomorrow morning, looking at this and doing some work around these goals with the other districts that will be at the conference. So I just wanted the board to have a look at the hard work that this equity team and that the A team as a whole is doing. Right, I'm going to move back to my report. Okay. For committee updates from my role or my perspective of what's going on in committees, obviously the audit either has been or will be presented today. The finance committee is also exploring the possibility of a request for proposals for business management and accounting services. We haven't settled on that for sure yet, but it is something that's in discussion. We had a response or request for proposals about 3 years ago for audit services, which is Plant Moran, who's with us today. It's Hungerford Nichols that does our business management and accounting services. And so we just want to gut check on that, make sure we are aligned with the firm that's working with us to give us those services, and that they have the capacity to provide appropriate services for us. For facilities, we have been exploring electrical work that needs to be done in the building to have window units in every room. Right now we have window units in maybe half the rooms, and then the other rooms have these portable air conditioners, which really just take the edge off of the heat and the humidity, but do not really cool the room, which is one of the reasons why we had to have these heat days. Our old building really holds heat, especially if it's hot at night. If it cools down at night, we do okay. It's hot at night, hot during the day. Some of our third floor rooms were getting up to 84, 85, 86 degrees. That's not appropriate during the school day for students and staff. So one of the reasons why we don't have window units is in every room is because of some electrical modernization and work that needs to be done. And so we are exploring what would it take to make sure everybody has a window unit. Because if we had that, then we would not have to cancel school for heat days. So depending on the level of work that needs to be done, the range is quite large. If it's simple and it's just a matter of the units and getting them installed and doing some, some outlet upgrades, that'll come in at around 10 to 15K. If the electricians actually need to change the amount of electricity that is flowing into our building, that can be upwards of 60K. So we are getting 2 more estimates, and we can explore those as a board once we know what the full estimates are. Strategic Planning Committee, we're meeting shortly with Donna and Libby once we have their availability. And for evaluation, still waiting for that committee to begin meeting based on after the retreat. Marketing and tech, no current updates from me. Safety committee will be meeting on October 18th, so next week. We had our safety needs assessment on September 26th. The results meeting where they kind of go over with me and the team what the results were, what our priorities should be, etc. Will be 3 to 6 weeks from the date of the assessment. It just depends how long it takes them to complete the final report. Um, for strategic planning for board members who were unable to attend one of the listening circles, there'll be a few more opportunities to connect with Don and Libby to share both your feedback and your reflections. And thinking about how you want to engage in this process is important because the board will be an essential part of implementing the plan when the time comes. So, how much input and direction do you feel like you would like to have during the planning phase before the plan is written in order to be able to confidently implement the plan when it's completed? The only next steps that I have for the board right now is to let me know if there's anything you want me to prepare for the board retreat, repeat, or if we are good to go as far as that goes. Thank you so much. I hope you have a lovely Monday and I will see you when I get back.